Good evening and welcome to the Newman City Council regular meeting, August 25th, 2026. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation. Okay, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together this evening to serve our community. Grant us wisdom in our decisions, compassion in our actions, and unity in our purpose. Bless our town, our leaders, and all who call Newman home. In your name we pray. Amen.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pimentel.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ball.
Here.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Here.
Councilmember Harden. Here. Mayor Graham.
Here. Any declarations of conflict of interest tonight? None? All right. How to close session? Nothing to report tonight. Item 6, ceremonial matters. Presentation by Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hey, thanks to the council for having me, and thanks for Michael for the invite. I also want to say thank you to your representative on our board, Karen Honeywell, for being here tonight. And why don't we get started? I'm David Heft. I'm from the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. We do cover the city of Newman for mosquito abatement and disease surveillance. And this is kind of how the county's divided. You can see the Tuolumne River kind of runs right through the center of the county. Above that river is the East Side Mosquito Abatement District, and below that river is the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. So that's how the two boundaries are separated. You could see Newman, down here. And so that's just right on the Merced border, but it's within our boundaries. And so we handle. And we do mosquito surveillance. We do mosquito identification, trapping. We put out lots and lots of mosquito traps. We test those mosquitoes for the presence of viruses. We take service requests from folks that are having mosquito issues, and that will lead to more surveillance and trapping to see what kind of mosquitoes we're dealing with. And based on those results, that'll tell us what kind of operational procedures to take to control the mosquitoes. And we do a lot of public outreach. We're at the fair. We're at presentations. We'll be at the Newman fair this weekend. And so we try to educate the public about the importance of dumping and draining standing water, and especially wearing repellent, because we can't control all the mosquitoes out there. So there's, especially in Newman, and we'll go over that later. And so for a service request, a resident is going to call the district. It's free, and we will come out and then we'll do an inspection. We'll hang traps. We'll try to figure out where the mosquitoes are coming from, what species we're dealing with. That's going to give us clues about where to look and about what kind of operational procedures to take to control the mosquitoes. And, there's all kinds of different things that we deal with. We treat every catch basin within the district. We do all the drains. This particular summer, we did all the utility vaults that we found breeding a lot of mosquitoes. Swimming pools, backyard stuff, and of course, irrigation from agriculture. That's just a few. So you can see some of the examples here: the irrigation, the green pool, the gutters, ponds that aren't being run anymore, backyard stuff that fills up with sprinklers and rainwater. These are all things that are common sources of mosquitoes. And really, it just takes one of these things in a neighborhood to cause thousands of mosquitoes for the other residents who aren't breeding mosquitoes. And so these are the different surveillance techniques that we can use. This trap operates under a CO2, carbon dioxide. We put dry ice in this bucket. It slowly releases carbon dioxide. The mosquitoes track it back thinking it's a person or an animal, and they get sucked down into our net here, and we'll collect it in the morning. These mosquitoes are then taken back to our lab. They're identified, and they're tested for virus. And these traps work. This trap works very similarly. It's got a lure. The mosquitoes come down in here, and they are collected in this little collapsible bucket. And so if you call us, we're going to set out one or both of these traps, so we can get a handle of what we're dealing with. These are just how we would sample a larva, the mosquito life cycle. The 3 out of the 4 stages is aquatic. So that's where we want to control them. We want to control them when they're in their aquatic stage. They're not flying all over the place. We got them right there. So there's more than 50 mosquito species in California. They all need standing water. So that's why getting rid of standing water is so important. Mosquito-borne disease is spread by the bite of an infected female mosquito. Only females bite. The best way to prevent the spread is to use repellent, and I can't stress that enough. The main species that spread West Nile are in the Culex genus, which are native to this area. We have lots of them. Newman has lots of them. There's some stats on the number of people that have been sickened, in the thousands. It's killed over 400 people. And there are no vaccines for humans. And so this is the new mosquito that we've been dealing with. We found this mosquito in Stanislaus County in 2019 in Newman. And it's been here ever since. It's not going anywhere. It's the ones that are in your backyards, the little tiny black ones that bite you on your ankles and your elbows and the back of your arms. They can live indoors. They can go through their whole life cycle indoors. They have evolved to live with humans and around humans and to utilize our little things like water pots and cans and things in our backyards to breed in. They're not out in the big pastures and swimming pools. They're not using the big stuff. They're using all the little stuff around the home that's holding water. And they're very aggressive, and they love humans. And so these are the ones that we've been dealing with for the last few years, and they're very hard to control because they do live around people so closely, and they're the ones that are generating most of our calls at this point. They're pretty much throughout California now. They entered in through Southern California. I want to say back in the mid-'90s. I actually worked in LA at that time, and I remember when they entered the port. Over the years, they never really moved much until the last about 10 years or so, and they believe that the increase in temperature, the climate change has really allowed them to broaden their habitat. So this is the life cycle I was talking about. During the heat of the summer, if somebody irrigates on Thursday, theoretically, especially if we have like a holiday weekend, like 4th of July or something, we could already have adults coming off before we even get back to work. So it can be we're not notified when people irrigate. So we have to have knowledgeable employees out in those areas that get to know the routine patterns. And so they know when to go by the different properties and expect standing water to be out there. But people irrigate out of turn, or somebody hasn't irrigated in 5 years and all of a sudden just decides to order some water and we don't know about it, and so things happen. I just want to urge everybody to remember, we're not breeding the mosquitoes. We're who you call to try to help you clean them up and deal with them, you know what I mean? So some people call and they're really mad. And I have to remind them, hey, we didn't do this, okay? We're here to help. So when you're controlling any type of pest, the accepted kind of scientific developed way to control is an integrated management. We're using not just one thing. We're not just using chemical control. We're using public education, talking to folks, doing this right here. SIT, that's a new method that we are just now, over the last year, this will be our second year, where we're releasing sterile males. So the males don't bite, right? And so we can release those. A female mosquito will only mate once. So if we can get her to mate with one of our sterile males, the eggs that she lays won't hatch. And so we can kind of break the life cycle if in an area we can just keep releasing those sterile males at a high level. The odds for her to breed with one of our males is pretty high. And so over time, we can really plummet that population. No chemicals. The mosquitoes do our work for us. The boy mosquitoes are really good at finding the girl mosquitoes. So they're like heat seekers. They can find them, and they eventually crash the population. Biological control, we have mosquito fish. We have bacteria that we use that is only harmful to mosquito larvae. A person or a pet, a cow, whatever, could drink it. It's not going to harm them. but it's only toxic to mosquitoes. So a lot of the products that we use at this point, it's not like the 40s and 50s with the big fog cloud, and that doesn't exist anymore. We release very small amounts of chemical. The products have been refined to the point that we're not releasing much chemical at all. And most of the stuff that we do is fairly non-toxic to people. And so one of the other things that we really focus on is physical control, getting rid of the source, period, fixing it, whatever's causing the issue. We work with farmers a lot, and other areas, people with green pools, ponds, and backyard things. And we've really focused on our repeat customers, people that we're doing a lot of work and spending a lot of money on their properties, getting rid of those and getting those fixed up. And so this is just kind of like the disease surveillance, testing mosquitoes, looking for pathogens, and that's gonna influence our control efforts. We don't just spray because it's Tuesday. If we're spraying an area, it's because we've picked up virus or we're seeing a change in the mosquito population where the people need help in that area. So this has already changed. So when I sent this over, I think it was last week on Thursday or Friday, we just found out this morning that we have 2 human West Nile cases now in the district. So it went from 0 to 2 over the weekend. And both of those were from Turlock. And you can see in this map here, all those kind of bluish purple colors, those are basically where we're trapping and where there's trapping data that's been submitted. And so you can see in the Newman area down here, the Merced County, they're trapping down here in the Gustine area. These are all our traps. We're all trapping along the border because a lot of the mosquito problems that Newman have comes from Merced. If you look at an aerial map, just a little bit that way is thousands of acres of refuge and duck clubs and all kinds of water. And so they just come straight here. West Nile this year is about double what it was last year. So we're seeing a very active West Nile year this year. That's statewide. So this would already change. This would be blue. Stanislaus would turn blue. You can see kind of where the West Nile activity is happening in California. It's, it's kind of right up through the valley, you know what I mean? You got the temperatures, you got a lot of ag, you got a lot of mosquitoes, and you get a lot of West Nile. This area is probably per capita, probably one of the highest West Nile virus incidence rates in the country. It's very active here. Just about at a certain time of the year, a majority of mosquitoes we send to test come back positive. So there's a lot of virus. It is out there. It's very active. So we do aerial applications. We have a lot of rural and ag community, and we have a lot of these new mosquitoes are in people's backyards that we can't always get into. We leave door hangers. We try to get into folks' backyards, but we don't get cooperation all the time. So the airplane helps us reach places that we can't get to. And it does it much better than our trucks in many situations. So what's the difference? Ground, they're both using what's called ULV, that's called ultra low volume. And I'll go into that a little bit more on the next slide. But it means we're putting out ultra low amount of product. Mosquitoes are tiny. We don't need to put out a bunch of material to kill a little tiny mosquito. It's not enough to affect anything else but a mosquito. Even other bigger insects can typically survive our treatments because it's not enough material to even kill like a bigger bee or a butterfly or something like that. We also time our applications so that we're not applying product when those other insects are out. We do it either early morning or we do it late in the evening when bees are already in their hive. Both are using the same chemical class. We're using pyrethrin. This is developed from a chrysanthemum flower. It's been known to be insecticidal for thousands of years. The Egyptians knew about it. It still works. And from the airplane, we also use what's called dibrome. These are the only 2 products we're allowed to use in California. And we rotate them, just like when you go to the doctor and, hey, I got to give you a different antibiotic because you've got a resistant strain. Well, we deal with that with mosquitoes. We spray and we don't kill them all. So we have to rotate to try to keep these 2 products working as long as we can. And so let's go into the rate. So 1 ounce equals 2 tablespoons. So think of a tablespoon. We don't even use an ounce. The 2 products that I just showed you on the previous page, we use less than an ounce. From 0.64 ounces to 0.75 ounces. If anybody has a Coke can, that's a 12-ounce can. Well, we're using this much out of the bottom of the Coke can. And that's to cover an acre. An acre is equivalent to a football field. So that is how much product is coming out of that airplane, 300 feet in the air, less than 2 tablespoons over a football field. I mean, I could spray a Raid can, and I've already just put out more product than that plane did, and nobody in here would think twice. But it's the same kind of chemicals that are coming out of that plane. So there's no threat to humans. There's no precautions you take. If people call us and say, well, hey, I'm going to close my windows and go in, please do. We don't, whatever you feel comfortable, but there's no human precautions or no safety precautions for your pets. Those droplets that come out of the airplane are so microscopic that they don't hit the ground. They're not heavy enough. That's also why we treat at those times of the day as well, because we're looking for an inversion. An inversion means the air is going up, and so it'll keep those droplets up in the air column longer. The mosquitoes are flying around in the air, and that's when we're trying to control them. If those drops hit the ground, it's a waste of money because mosquitoes don't live on the ground. So those microscopic drops you can't even see. When the plane flies over, you can't see anything coming out of the plane. When those microscopic drops are released, they last for less than an hour and they dissipate. They're gone. So I think that's just important. There's kind of a big confusion on like, oh my God, I saw the plane. You know, am I getting doused with chemical? No, you're not. Nobody's getting showered with chemical. And so let's talk about Newman in particular. So I did this kind of aerial. You can see all this mosquito habitat, right? And virtually none of it gets treated or controlled in any routine fashion. So these mosquitoes are moving this direction. The one thing that I want to make sure the council is aware of, this is the new constructed wetlands that the city of Newman built about 2 years ago. Well, it has been building for several years, but I think it went into effect last year. These mosquitoes, this is China Island right here. This breeds thousands and thousands of mosquitoes. Since COVID, the state hasn't been having workers out here, so they just irrigate and leave it. The vegetation's about this high, and all the different cells they used to mow before they vegetate, they don't do that. So this thing breeds lots and lots of mosquitoes, and that's where they come, right here. And this is right in their flight path. So it's going to be extremely important that the city council and that the city understands that this is right across the street from your town. You know, right here is the kids in the soccer that I passed tonight. You want to make sure that you're maintaining this and keeping the vegetation as thinned out as you can, because weeds and vegetation plus standing water equals mosquitoes. Now, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a second. On my last slide. So here's a map. Here's the map of the airplane. This is going to fly Thursday night. So this Thursday, the plane will fly Newman. You can see that there's an offset. This red coloration is when the spray was on. The green is when it's off. So we know exactly where this plane's flying. We know exactly what the plane's on and off. We know exactly where the product is going. There's wind. These are microscopic drops. It just needs a slight breeze, and that plane's going to have to offset to make sure that those microscopic drops go where they need to go. If you see the plane fly right over you, it's not treating you. It's probably treating a half a mile that way. And so this plane could be up here sometimes, depending on the wind. It could be over here. It could be over here. So we know exactly where the drops are going. The plane is outfitted with extremely high-tech equipment that knows the density, the weight of the drops, knows all the humidity, the wind speed, all that, and it models exactly where those drops are going to end up. And you can find all this information on our website for those that are interested. We post on Facebook, we post on Twitter what we're going to be doing, and you can go on our website, you can look at these maps, and you can know when we're going to be spraying in your area. And so just to conclude, this is the wetlands area here. And we've already picked up, our first West Nile positive pool of mosquitoes came from this wetland. We have a trap that's basically right here. And our very first West Nile positive pool came from here. We've since had 4 more. So it is active for West Nile. I have walked through this, and sometimes it's fine, other times there's mosquitoes and I am getting bit. We haven't found a ton of mosquitoes yet breeding in the source in terms of the water. A lot of these ponds are still open water, but you do see a lot of tule growth. The thing you got to keep in mind is the design features that went into this are going to be for water quality and filtering out sediment, filtering out nitrates, that kind of thing. That encourages more plant growth, because that's what's doing all that work. But the problem is the more plant growth leads to mosquito, because the mosquitoes have to land on the water to lay their eggs, and they've also got to hatch out on the water and let their wings dry. And if there's no vegetation to protect them, the slightest wind will blow them over and they'll drown. So they won't lay their eggs in open water. You know, if you got no vegetation and you just got a pond, it won't really be a bad mosquito source. But if you let that pond fill up with tules and vegetation, it will go from nothing to powder keg very quickly. So it's just important, and I know I've met with Thomas a couple of times out there, and it's just very important that you put the materials needed to keep this in a very balanced position between water quality and public health, because, you know, here's your town right here. Like I said, at this stage, it's not at a point where it's a huge problem, but I've had experience with constructed wetlands for pretty much my entire 30-year career, and this can be a big problem if it's not managed properly. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Does the city council still have any plans to develop this piece? Okay. Because that was going to be, because I saw in some of the paperwork that there was a phase 2 that was going to go in over here. So that's important to know. Thank you. Here's the front page of our website. This is where you'd get the spray notifications and our maps and whatnot. You can click and get where we're contacting virus. You can get the latest data in terms of West Nile virus activity. And so we urge the public to use our website as much as they'd like to, and to get more information. And that's all I had. Thank you. Any questions? I'd be happy to take some questions from anybody.
From the council?
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned the amount of the solution that was as big as with an acre it covered, right?
Yeah.
Is it mixed with something, or
No.
is that little piece?
That's it.
Oh.
That's not, yeah, because you're right about that. There are a lot, especially in ag. They use a lot of the same stuff we use too, but you know, they might mix it and be spraying 100 gallons per acre. Mm-hmm. No, that's not like, we don't take that and then put it in something else and then put it out at no, that's actual out the airplane.
That's a very fine mist.
That's it. And people go, well, how does it work? It works. We're not killing big things, we're killing tiny little things, and we're putting out billions of these little microscopic droplets. And so those droplets, they don't ever, think about scuba diver and neutrally buoyant. You know, they can just sit there and underwater and they don't sink and they don't go up. They just kind of, well, these drops are designed to be neutrally buoyant as much as possible. They do have a little bit of drop because we do want them to come down from the airplane a little bit, but they never drop enough to where they're hitting the ground and they're hitting people in the stands at a football game or anything like that.
I had a follow-up one after that. So then, okay, so you also mentioned that it was for the mosquitoes that are flying in the air, right? Mm-hmm. So what about the larva that is in standing water?
Yes.
It won't touch that?
No. So that's
That's controlled some in a different way?
That's our technicians, that's what they're looking for. So they go out to a cornfield that's irrigating, especially this type of year when they start irrigating more for corn. There's more of, they're pumping up the weight of the corn. There's more of a likelihood that we're going to start getting a lot of standing water because they're irrigating more often and it doesn't soak in every time so we start getting patches here and there, lots of standing water and stuff. They'll go out and they'll treat it with the bacteria that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. The other product that we use is a hormone. So humans have hormones that take them from, kids to adults. Mm-hmm. Flip it. Insects have a hormone that keeps them kids, and then when it starts to go away, they go to the adult stage. So we put a hormone in the water that they absorb, and it's called juvenile hormone. And they absorb it, and it just keeps them juveniles. They never hatch out to adults. They just stay in the water and die eventually. And so those are the two main products that we're using. Both of them are non-toxic to humans or pets. The only other product that we use is pupa. A pupal stage doesn't eat. So it won't eat the bacteria. And it's too late for the juvenile hormone. It's already went out of the larval stage, right? So it's too late for that. So the only thing we can use to kill mosquitoes at that point is oil. And we use a cooking oil that goes, it's very thin sheen. And strangely enough, mosquitoes still need to breathe air, even in the aquatic stage. So we put a sheen of oil on the top and they can't get their straw up through it to breathe and they suffocate. And so we use that when we have lots of pupa in the water. Interesting. And then that oil breaks down by the sunlight within about 24 hours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, David. We appreciate you coming
Thank you.
out
I
and giving that
appreciate
to
you
the
guys as
community.
well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Item B, presentation by Stanislaus County regarding unpermitted food vendors. Evening, welcome.
Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Rob Kostlevy. I'm the Director of Environmental Resources for Stanislaus County. And just want to start off with just read something to you guys. Success in public health is often measured by what never happens, the foodborne illness that never occurs, the injury that never happens, the outbreak that never makes the news. Those outcomes are not the result of chance. They are the result of standards that exist to protect the public health and the businesses that choose to operate responsibly. Every day, local government is entrusted with balancing two important responsibilities: supporting economic opportunity while protecting public health and safety. In most cases, those responsibilities complement one another. Occasionally, they come into conflict. When they do, our obligation is to ensure that the public health and safety remain the foundation upon which every food business operates. Tonight's presentation is about creating a coordinated countywide approach that emphasizes education, voluntary compliance whenever possible, and consistent enforcement when necessary. Our goal is not to discourage entrepreneurship or penalize those trying to earn a living. Our goal is to ensure that every vendor serving food in the public is held to the same health and safety standards that protect consumers and provide a level playing field for the many businesses that work hard every day to comply with the law. Now, the first few slides are paramount to understanding what the whole goal of my presence here today. And it's about identifying, well, what is an unpermitted vendor? And the definition is it's basically selling goods and services to the public. And in our situation, that goods and services is food. So why is it important for us to look at the health and safety components of food vendors? Now, this picture right here, I was driving home in Oakdale, and I came across it, and I can instantly tell this was an unpermitted food vendor because we wouldn't allow this type of operation to set up on the side of a road. So I pulled over, and as I'm walking out, I had my clipboard with me. Another car pulled up, and when they pulled up, they rolled their window down, and they said, "Do you work with the city or the county?" And I said, "Well, yes, I do." And they said, "Well, I just happened to show up here, and I'm here with my contractor. We're going to fence up this place for a business, and these guys do not have permission to be here. So they set up on his property. They had no permission to be there. If anything were to happen to anybody on that property owner is liable for that. So the thing that we want to look at is the food and safety violations, and the public health, traffic and pedestrian obstructions and safety, unfair competition with permitted businesses, as I just mentioned, property owner liability, and a lack of food safety training. And I highlight that in red because that's going to really come into effect throughout this entire presentation. And at the heart of all restaurants and food facilities is the kitchen. That kitchen is used for, storing the food, properly cleaning the equipment, doing everything that you can imagine that kitchen does. Now, a commissary is a permitted kitchen that, mobile food facilities or temporary food facilities utilize to use and contract with. And they're able to store their food there. They're able to wash it, fill their water tanks up, empty their wastewater tanks, and receive deliveries and perform just different types of food preparation. Now, prior to July 1st of this year, we had a methodology on the way that we handled our unpermitted vendors. And not in exact order, but we typically would get a phone call or a complaint that there is an unpermitted food vendor in a certain location. Our first thing was do some little surveillance to see if somebody is out there. We would contact our law enforcement partners if it's in the county jurisdiction, we're going to contact our sheriff. If it's in a city district, we're going to contact the PD and get their assistance. And a lot of folks think that when we ask for assistance from PD, that it's to form some sort of intimidation, and that's not the case at all. It's about our safety. So if you were to look at any of the videos that's online, through social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, you're going to see throughout the state and throughout the country where enforcement officers are going into unpermitted vendor territory, and then the public that's there get upset about it, and they start calling the inspectors' names, or some could get a little rough and get in their face, and that's what we're trying to prevent. We don't want to have any incidents. We want to make sure that when we do go there, everything is handled in a civil manner and respectfully. So when we would contact our law enforcement, we'd go into these inspections together, and our process was we would do 3 inspections. 2 inspections were 100% education. We would go in there and tell them to pack up their stuff if we found that they didn't have a permit, and we would send them on their way. We would educate them. Our goal is to get them into the office, and once we get them into the office, to get them permitted and to be part of our business community. And we would do that on the second time as well. Then on the third time is when we would start doing a little more heavy-handed enforcement, and that would be impounding of the equipment. And what we would do is when we would impound the equipment, we would hold it for 30 days. So imagine if we're out here and I'm working with your city staff, and we come to that third inspection. We have to impound some equipment. We're going to have to drive that equipment all the way to a series to store it. And then if we had other vendors that we wanted to look at that night, we're going to have to come back. And that's not very efficient. It's a lot of time being wasted. And the same thing if we were in Oakdale, we'd have to drive all the way back to Ceres and wherever we're at. And this next photo is kind of showing you what that 30-day hold looks like. This is our Ceres office, and this is all the equipment. And the thing about it, though, is you can see how much space that is taken up. That building, this building right here, those 2 doors are where we actually store it. That truck next to it is where we are loading it up. Now, the thing about this methodology, the 58 counties and 4 cities that have environmental health programs were almost identical. We did the same thing. And we absolutely failed. It didn't work because even if we did the impoundment, those vendors would be up and running, 2 days later with brand new equipment. And so that's when we started trying to see if there's something else that we can do. And some other counties were a little farther along than us. I modeled ours off of Merced County. And actually this picture right here is when I did a ride along with Merced County, and right almost in the middle of town. It's the pop-up vendor right here. And they're doing enforcement first now. So that's what we decided that we needed to look at, is maybe we need to change the tactics, because we are seeing vendors coming into our office all the time, and they want to meet with me as the director or department head, and they're saying, Rob, you got to help us out. And this one vendor just really hit hard here to me, because we were in the office and we were talking, and we had a good conversation, and he kept saying that these vendors are really impacting his way of life because he did things right. And they're setting up next to him, and they're selling, the tacos or whatever they're selling at a lower price, and he can't compete with that because he has to pay insurance. He's got employees. He has all this stuff. And then he came and he said one last word, and I didn't understand what he was trying to say. We were talking about helping each other out. And I was trying to get him to, say, hey, if you know where these vendors are actually being located, where they're storing their food, where these white vans, and you'll hear about the white vans in a minute, are located, tell me, and that'll help us out. And I didn't understand what he was saying, so I had to bring in my bilingual staff. And, Alondra came in and, sat with him, and they talked for a little bit longer. And after they left, she said, he was offering you money. He wanted to help, not as a bribe or anything like that. He wanted to help out the program to get more officers out there, because it's impacting his life so much. So that sparred a different approach, and that is the creation of a interagency task force. And that's gonna include environmental health staff, code enforcement, through the city and the county, law enforcement, city and the county, district attorney, any representatives that you want from your either city council or your board of supervisors, and a community-based organization, an NGO. And the whole thought process of this is, how can we become more efficient and do things together as a team, as a community? And that the whole task force is, I think, a fantastic idea, because it makes everyone have some skin in the game. So if we're in Newman, we're going to ask, hey, can you store the equipment that we pull out of your jurisdiction for 30 days? That way, we're not going back and forth, and we have a process dialed in. It's going to require officers to assist us. So when we come into the city, you're going to have either your PD or code enforcement. We're not charging you at all for this. This is all about working together. And so whatever officers or time that is utilized from the city standpoint, that's all on you. And anything that the county does on our end, that's on us. We're not asking for anything. It's a team effort. And we want to create a memorandum of agreement that basically will have us adhere to these. And there's 2 parts of this memorandum of agreement. The first one is that, hey, we're going to be partners. The second one is where we are going to train you. As environmental health, we want to train each of our city partners to do what we do, and basically make you guys an agent under me. So like right now, whenever we impound any of the equipment that we do, that is environmental health has to be there. We're signing off on it. We're present on those inspections. We want to create under this task force an inspection protocol where it's so dialed in, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take several months. It could lead into next year, but until everything is all agreed upon, we will have a methodology where we don't need to be in Newman to help you guys out. Let's say if we're out in Oakdale doing an inspection, you can call me up and utilize, FaceTime, and we can say, yeah, go ahead and impound that. Or if we have the process dialed in and both of our councils say, yes, this is legal to do this, then we'll find another methodology where we sign off on that on a digital inspection. You send it over off through an email. Now, the one thing that we are noticing with these unpermitted vendors is a connection. And I wish I could play the videos that are embedded into this. The videos tie into Southern California. They also tie into Merced County and Monterey and Stanislaus, where it's I think they call it the kingpin type of organization, where they're all connected, up and down the state. And it's very evident when we're doing these inspections. We impound, a couple $1,000s worth of equipment, and 24 to 48 hours, they have a brand new piece of equipment up and running again, new generators, and we can impound it again, and 2 days later, they're up and running again. A typical mom and pop doesn't have that type of operation and have that type of funding just to go out and do that. And this was another video that was showing that. But what I want us to do right now is we're gonna go on a journey, and this is so common right here. So this meat is stored away at some other random location. They're unpermitted, so we don't know where. Typically, it could be a house. It could be a warehouse. The one that you're going to see is going to end up being in a warehouse. Actually, I want to go back on this one. So when you see this van, that meat is hanging from a hook right here. So that is going to jostle back and forth. So if they're driving to a location today, so whatever that touch today is going to be on that vehicle tomorrow. And then they put that thing back in there, and then it jostles back. Now you just cross-contaminated, and bacteria is growing. There's two different types of foodborne illness. One is the foodborne illness itself, and one's in food intoxication. So one is the bacteria makes you sick. The other one is the byproduct of the bacteria. It's a toxin, which will make you sick. So cooking is not going to destroy the toxin. So this is an unpermitted commissary. Nothing was at temperature. Everything's out. You can see this large garbage can being utilized as a holding pin for some sort of tomato-based sauce. This is common. When you see these vendors out in the public somewhere, there's no restrooms anywhere around. So, and there's no hand washing stations. So that's something that we're looking at. Once again, cross-contamination, employee safety as well. Once again, we see the meat in this area, another trash can. And when I was talking about the kingpins, so you have these white vans, what they'll do is they'll show up to this location, and they will get their allotment they'll grab their meat, they'll grab their sauces. It's an assembly line. Ford would be very proud that, and it's pretty ingenious how they do it, but they're doing it. Here is a unpermitted commissary again, and once again, you can see white buckets. What was in the buckets? This isn't a professional commissary. This is out in the backyard somewhere. And when you see these al frescos right here, that's going to come into play again in a minute. So this is in somebody's backyard. You have food stored on the ground. You have food in the garage, chemicals stored nearby. So there could be some cross-contamination there. You have mold and maggots in this area. This is completely open. When you think of a restaurant is going to be vermin-proof. There's no way that this is vermin-proof. This one is one of my favorite pictures. We have the nice corn right here. We see these machines and furnaces all over the county. But right here, where the corn is, if you don't, there is a rooster right on top of it. Once again, the 3 comp sink, nothing is up to code. That would never pass. Once again, on here, we don't even know what this is. It was something in yet another operation where they're using the 55-gallon trash can as a storage vessel. And the grand jury report, when I first gave this presentation to our Board of Supervisors, just a few days later, the Merced County grand jury came out and basically confirmed everything that we were saying, that there are unpermitted vendors are endangering Stanislaus County residents, and it's tied to kingpins. It's tied to potential human trafficking, where people are brought over here or paid to come over to America, and they have to pay the coyote a certain amount before they are free. So what is happening in our neighboring cities? So since we started our task force in early July and working together and talking with one another, that opened the channels. And the city of Riverbank, their code enforcement, said, hey, Rob, we're seeing a commissary at this house. It's like, okay. So we did some investigation, and we knew that we were going to go over to Rainbow Fields. And right across the street, there's always a setup where they're doing the vending, with the unpermitted vending. And I got there a little early, and so we're like, okay, I'm gonna go look at the house. So I drove by the house, and sure enough, they were loading up their vans with food. So that gave us cause to think, okay, we just saw it, and this is what we found in the house. So this is just the garage portion of this. And inside these innocent looking fruit carts and churros, and there's buckets of urine and other stuff in there. Other food is stored next to chemicals. There was a lot of stuff out of compliance and temperature. This right here was a makeshift sink. They had this water line coming through here, which drained to the ground, which actually drained underneath this. And so they had to put plywood down. They are frying up ready to eat material, like the Doritos. And they have the cardboard 55-gallon drums that is getting saturated. They're reusing oil. You can see the staining of the plywood there. This was really disturbing as well. So they're taking the curdled milk out of the horchata that didn't sell, and they are straining it. And you can see right here, they have a mesh screen. Then they're taking the coagulated chunks out and taking it there, then putting the clean stuff here. And then they are rebottling it and putting it in the freezer, and then they'll take it out in the field to sell to the public. Now, this picture, we have two of our elected leaders here. We have from Riverbank, Stacy Call, and Board of Supervisors, Buck Condon. They actually went out on this investigation with us to see what it was like to firsthand what we're experiencing, and I think it was overwhelming for them. They weren't ready for what they saw, what they smelled. So what does this cost have on our local business? So this right here is all AI. It's based off of what we're seeing on social media and what we're seeing in the lines. You know, when you have, if you get 30 customers an hour, either $15 a sale or $20 a sale, and they're typically advertising 3 days a week. So we're looking at, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're looking at almost $500,000 at working 3 days a week that they're taking away from local businesses. That's a lot. That's a lot of taxes that aren't being paid. That's, imagine, your brick and mortar stores being deprived of that type of extra livelihood in their business ventures. So before we get to the questions, I do want to share something. So we've been doing the education aspect of this for several years, before I even got to the county in 21. So this has been going on, and I know in the last, I'd say the last year is when we kind of started ramping up more on the enforcement side, and we've had roughly 3 folks come in to get a permit from when we're dealing with these vendors. However, once we started the task force, my staff has told me that we've had 6 since July. That's huge. And the thing about it is, one of them, I saw some social media that he was doing. He showed a video of our team going in there and inspecting him and basically saying that this hit him hard, And then he said, well, I got a permit now. And so last Friday, after he got his permit, I actually went over there and, had dinner with him and bought a burrito from him. So we want to encourage our folks that are doing things right and let them know that, we are enforcing, but we're human beings, and we want you to do the right thing, and we're going to do everything we can to support you when you do the right thing. So, any questions at all?
Any questions? No questions. Rob, thank you for that presentation. It's very concerning, the stuff that you showed us that's out there. Most of us probably knew a lot of that, but thank you for the presentation on that. It's very eye-opening.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Item number C, recognition of Lieutenant Brett Short on his upcoming retirement. Congratulations.
Good evening. On behalf of Newman Police Department, I'd like to recognize Lieutenant Brett Short. Ashley just had to leave Lieutenant Williams, but I'm going to have Linda. Would you like to read it?
No.
Okay. Read a prepared statement. But, I just want to say thank you to Brett. I came here a month ago. Brett was the acting chief, did a great job in the absence of Chief Richardson, and really set me up for success, showed me some of the things that were going good, some improvements that I can work on, and really gave me a good, complete roadmap to really help me with the transition to make sure that I'm able to come in, understand the needs of not only the community, but also of the agency, of the employees that work here, and be able to give them a solid foundation for a good start. So I'm going to read a prepared statement here, a little bit about his history. Brett went to the Modesto Junior College, West Campus Academy in 1998, later became the Ray Justice Training Center. I think probably only a few of us went to that academy. It's been a while since it's been open. He was hired by Shasta County Sheriff's Department in 2000 as a custodial officer, hired by Newman Police Department in 2001 as a police officer, and promoted to sergeant in 2008. Later promoted to lieutenant a short time later in 2010. Serving as acting police chief between retirement of Randy's leaving and me coming in. He was named the Newman Police Department's Officer of the Year in 2006 and was a winner of the Mothers Against Drunk Driving Award in 2002 in recognition of his efforts in combating impaired driving. Brett served as a detective, field training officer, range master, and less lethal instructor. So today's not his last day, but it's coming very shortly at the end of the week. He'll have a sign off on Thursday, but tonight we just want to come and say congratulations. Thank you for your years of service. Thank you for the dedication not only to the community, but to also the employees that you mentor and help grow over the years. Thank you very much. Come up and present. Sure.
Thank you, Chief. Along the same lines, I have a proclamation on behalf of the County Board of Supervisors for Lieutenant Short. We want to commend him for his many years of service to the city of Newman. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for working with our city officials. And we're wishing you the absolute best in retirement.
Thanks, sir.
I'm here on behalf of Assemblyman Juan Alanis, and I just wanted to congratulate you on your 26 years of service with the Newman Police Department. We're wishing you the best in your well-deserved years of retirement.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
And the last one tonight, they couldn't be here to hand this to you from Senator Marie Alvarado Gill's office in recognition of your service.
Thank you very much. And real quick, I'll keep it short here. I've been surrounded by some great people over the years, and fire department, city staff, everybody. Everyone's been really great, and it's all of us working together that's kept Newman great. So thank you very much.
Lieutenant, thank you for your dedication to the city and being involved here for as long as you have. It's not an easy job all the time, so thank you very much, and congratulations on retirement. We'll take a quick break. There's some stuff back there if people are interested, and say goodbyes and honor Lieutenant real quick. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Anybody wishing to speak? Go ahead and go up to the mic, state your name and address and your topic. Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor, city council members, city staff, and community members. My name is Paul Willett. I'm the ambulance director at Patterson District Ambulance, that little metropolis a little north of you here. I'm here this evening to first say how much we value being a long-term partner in your community for emergency medical care. Perhaps you've seen our ambulances around. The reason that I'm here tonight is there's some information kind of rolling out, and I wanted to be here to first say, here's what's going on, here's why it's going on, and then offer an opportunity if there's any questions, whether it's now or later. I have a lot of business cards, glad to hand those out to you. Patterson District Ambulance started in this community back in the 80s, and we, not me personally, I was a little young, but back in that era, Patterson District Ambulance was here, and then Westside Ambulance emerged in somewhere mid-'80s, and Patterson kind of went back towards Patterson. Mutual aid brings us down here on a unscheduled, kind of unplanned reaction to system dynamics. That's a normal occurrence of any EMS system. And whether it's coming down this way, whether it's into Modesto or Turlock or those areas, mutual aid is what it takes sometimes to get over those peak call volumes. So over the years, the challenge has been that we found ourselves in the Newman area and Gustine a lot more and a lot less predictably. So more mutual aid. And then apart from mutual aid, if the ambulance coverage in this area is gone, they're handling other emergencies, then we would come down and post. So it's not like there's another emergency. We move an ambulance down in case there's another call, trying to spread out the resources that we have left so that hopefully nobody has to wait too long for an ambulance if they need one. So what we're trying to do is to have a more scheduled and stable presence in the community to help hopefully provide a service that we always hope that nobody needs, but when they need it, you want it a little closer by than maybe coming from Patterson. So that is what we're doing. The news that you may have heard is that the county EMS agency recently approved Patterson District Ambulance, which is part of the Del Puerto Healthcare District, to apply or to provide ambulance service in what is known as Zone A, which is a non-exclusive ambulance area. And what that means is that other ambulance companies could choose to provide service, and they have to go through an application process. And once that's reviewed and approved, that's kind of the first step. Secondary to that, we have to have a contractor agreement with the local EMS agency or LEMSA to provide that service. And that's the phase that we're in now. Hopefully that will get turned around quickly. And then the last phase is some of the logistics of, where are you going to be? How's that going to go? When's it going to start? And those sort of things. And ideally, we wanted this to roll out when those things were a little bit more known and maybe that time frame was a little more concise. And right now, there's still some question marks on that. I can just tell you that we are going through that process. We're well into the contractor agreement phase, and hopefully that will be executed in the next week or two, and that will allow us to kind of continue our path forward. So in broad terms, that's what we're doing. That's kind of why we're doing it. We're not trying to take over or anything else. What we're really trying to do is to help stabilize an EMS presence in your community. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer those. And if not, I have business cards you can call.
Any questions? No? Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Being so far away from any healthcare facility that offer emergency medical, it's vital that we have ambulances nearby at all times.
I will take
Provide- Yeah. Anybody else wishing to speak at this time? Please state your name, address.
Good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor, chiefs. Welcome to Newman, by the way. I'm here, my name's Paul Ray. I live at 809 Southington here in Newman. I've been a Newman resident now for about 10 years. Love Newman. I love our police force. I love what city government does. I'm here addressing the flock surveillance. And I know it's controversial. I know there's Fourth Amendment issues, and I know there's logistical issues, and I know that the city of Newman, I know, does what's best for its residents. I have no problem with the city of Newman in any way, shape, or form. My problem is with the company Flock and how they're managed, how their terms and conditions have changed a dozen times since they were formed. At one point, they were saying that they don't sell collected data. Well, now they're saying they do. They also have stated that, well, no, let me cut to the chase here. There's violations, breaches of security, breaches of public trust, time and time and time again. Cities, San Jose is suing Flock. I think Charlotte, North Carolina, and a few other cities. And the issue is, well, Fourth Amendment for one, but I don't believe that they can be trusted. They have backdoors into their database. They say that what they hold in availability for subscribers is a 30-day window of data. That may be true. However, the raw data is stored for eternity. So it's there, and it can be accessed by, at this point, we're not sure. Well, as I said, I support the city. I'm happy to be a Newman resident. I love our police force. It's been nothing but good for me. I'm just worried about this and our rights. And it's an invasion of privacy. It's getting negative press all over the United States. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody on the council is aware of that, and they could possibly be out of business in a month if the Supreme Court rules against them. So might be something to think about fiscally as well. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Non-agenda items, we're going to open up, there's going to be a presentation we'll open up after that. All right. We'll move, one second, Chief. We'll move on to, if there's nothing else from the public, we'll move on to the consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the August 11th, 2026 meeting.
Move we adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
Yeah, for a second, go vote electronically.
Oh, I can't. My screen's black.
Just touch it, it'll open up. I'll wake it up.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Motion carries 5-0. No public hearings today. Regular business. A, presentation regarding the Newman Police Department use of Flock Safety Automated License Plate Reader, ALPR technology. Chief?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, residents. Thank you for your comments, sir. I appreciate it, and yours as well last week. I took a lot of that to heart and did a lot of research to present tonight, and hopefully I will be able to answer some of the questions that we have. Tonight I'll provide an overview of Newman Police Department's ALPR, flock automated, and how we use it here in the city of Newman. I recognize that members of the community have raised questions about Fourth Amendment rights, some legitimate concerns about privacy, and some other matters that if you look on the internet is pretty much every other click that we do on our phones right now. I think it's a hot topic. I think it's not only in California, but across the country, especially with a lot of the misuse that has happened with this technology. Technology and innovation is something that we use as a tool in law enforcement, not to replace our investigative means in law enforcement, but something that we use to help with outcomes of cases. Our community expects us to protect the residents from crime while also respecting their constitutional rights. Flock is a limited investigative tool, and it doesn't replace what we do or how we do things. It just gives us an upper hand by utilizing technology, and we're able to corroborate that data into investigations. It's not used for general surveillance. A lot of the things that I see on the internet is that we're able to use this for general surveillance, log into and track people. With the 8 cameras that we have here in Newman, I'll discuss how those work and how they're used as a tool for us here at the agency. We're aware of the recent reports with flock safety. I went and had a long meeting with flock yesterday. I had a 2-hour Zoom conference just to go over all of the different strongholds with the protections that we offer and what we are taking advantage of. Only sworn police officers have access to our ALPR system. I did the audit on that. There's 15 of us here in the city of Newman that can utilize these cameras. Every search must be associated with a legitimate law enforcement investigation. And that's kind of the gray area that we see in social media. There's a couple different ways that Flock works. On one of the search bars, it asks for an incident number, it asks for a case number, and there was also a tab that drops down that says other. Newman Police Department, we do not have that initiated where you cannot search the other tab. It has to be associated with the direct case number and incident number. And what that allows me to do as a chief and my administration to do is go back and look at every keystroke, and that if we don't have a case number that supports that search, then it's not going to occur. We can't just randomly put something in there that we're looking for this or that just because. It has to be tied to an actual investigation where there's an incident number pulled or a case number pulled that's tracked in our CLETS terminal. All system is logged, it's fully audited, and I plan on doing that every 30 days. And with 15 users and 8 cameras, you can imagine it goes pretty quickly. You look at towns like we talked about San Jose, who have hundreds and hundreds of cameras with thousands of users. I think it's a little different. It's a little harder to locate some of the bad actors. It's much easier for us, especially with the way that we have our flock cameras here set up in our community. Any of the misuse of our system obviously be thoroughly investigated and lead to termination because it is a crime. It's protected data. Newman Police Department operates our ALPR. I just revamped our Lexipol policy to make sure that we're in line with the 30-day data constraints. I know that Lexipol is who does our policies here. One of the things I did as a police chief is set the foundation of our agency, and my first line of business was reviewing our department policy. Not only our ALPR policies, but policies in general, use of force policies, pursuit policies, things that are hot topics within the law enforcement community. ALPR is one of those that I really want to take a good look at. And I spoke with Lexipol and I spoke with Flock and looked at what those strongholds were, as you spoke to, sir, about the data. Their explanation to me is that we own the data. I confirmed with our IT here at Newman, we have no servers at the police department that holds any kind of data. Our data is merely stored within the cloud of Flock. That data purges every 30 days. the 31st day falls off. They're in the process of doing what's called evidentiary mode, which some of you may heard about, where now Flock is going to dial that down to only 7 days. So we have 7 days to go in to find this information. If we tie it to a crime or something that we're investigating with, we can pull it off the server. We basically log it into evidence and it becomes part of record for a criminal case. So that's where Flock is moving towards. Right now, it is not in place, but I think within the next 3 to 4 months, it's going to be mandatory that all of that data is purged every 7 days. I'm not aware of any other platform that data is stored. Everyone that I've spoke to, including police chiefs up and down the state that are dealing with Flock questions, tell me the same thing. The data is stored in the cloud. We don't hold that data, and Flock doesn't sell the data to anybody else. It's purged on the 31st day. Taking some of the concerns that we had at our last meeting, I went into Flock and I opened up our transparency page. If you take a look at our city webpage, I also went on with the help of Mike Meyer, and we revamped our city page and brought it up to this year and to what the expectations are for the community. I wanted them to know that they can log into our page, and on the front page at the bottom, it says ALPR policy. You can click and read our policy that was updated within the last 7 days. And also you can click the Flock automated portal, and it shows you real life data on what we see, not all the details, but it gives the public a good idea of why we're using this for what kind of searches that are occurring. It's real live data. You can look at it every single day. There's a page on there where you can click the bottom and download that data and review that data, because we want to be transparent to anybody that's interested in how we're using this technology. And I know from some of the statements and the conversations that I've had with community members, that's one of the things that they just didn't understand. Where are these cameras located? What happens to the data? How is this data corroborated with other investigative tools? And how are those tools used to solve crimes right here in Newman? Some of the other things I hear a lot about is who can access our cameras. And I'll talk about that here as we go into what this page looks like. In the bottom of our webpage, if you click on the transparency, you're going to see this green oversight. And on here, this one talks about 90 alerts. This one here is displayed from about a week ago when I downloaded or made this presentation. It's increased, obviously, since this was done. But it shows our SVS stolen vehicle plates and stolen vehicles. These are alerts on what drives in front of our stationary cameras. Our cameras aren't following cars. They're a station camera that takes pictures of vehicles as they drive by. The alerts that our cameras have located will be placed here under the data and usage summary, so people are able to see that. The portal allows everyone to see this without disclosing data, but giving them a good enough idea of what is being searched and what crimes we're starting to see associated with our cameras. The transparency portal captures information. It's retained, like I said, for 30 days, automatically deletes. On the top there, it talks about our data retention. That's going to be 7 days here pretty soon as the evidence mode is turned on with Flock. The total cameras of LPRs that we have here within the city, which is 8. How many searches that we've done? 26 searches. And I think it's important to understand the difference between number of searches and number of hot lists. A search is something that we do here at the Newman Police Department. It's an investigation that we're currently investigating. We're following up leads on. We're looking to locate evidence of a crime or to corroborate it with an active investigation. Hot list is an alert on a vehicle that can be from anyone who uses Flock throughout the state. If we put in a stolen vehicle, an amber alert, a gray alert, a missing at risk, a missing adult, a stop and FI vehicle, all of these different alerts will be picked up on the cameras. The thing that's consistent with all of these alerts are that you have to still have probable cause and do your job in law enforcement. You can't just stop a car because we get an alert. I can't just get behind you and say, hey, that's the car on the alert. What is the alert for? Is it a stolen vehicle? Are we going to confirm the stolen vehicle? Because we know in law enforcement, a lot of the times, sometimes on stolen vehicles, they're not pulled out of CLETS. And we have people that will respond and pick up a stolen vehicle, and maybe they're just driving home. So we can't just light them up, like they say, turn on our code 3 sirens, pull them over and arrest them. We have to do our due diligence to do our investigation. And it's a lot more than just looking at data that comes from some license plate readers that we have posted within the community. So that's the big difference between searches and hot lists. And I think that kind of confuses people. I really had to talk with Flock and say, how many, this is really our number, because I look at 438 hits and 8 cameras, that's a lot of hits. But then when you look at the locations, and I'll talk about that, of where our cameras have been strategically placed, it makes sense. Because if they're driving down the same street and there's 5 cameras, it's gonna pick up 5 different times. So it could be the same car that gets picked up. We've had in some other areas by tow yards. Well, every time you take a car through a tow yard or buy a camera, it's in a wreck or it's a stolen car or something else that's in a system, it's gonna alert on CLETS as well. So understanding the placement of the cameras, I think, goes a long way when we start looking at how many hot lists that are actually coming up. The sharing of network data, this is where you can go onto the platform and it shows how many departments are accessing our data. 305 when I made this slide. I think it's up at 306. As of today, I have 18 agencies, I believe, that are waiting for me to accept them to start sharing data with them. Our parameters are set where we do not share with any federal agencies. We do not share with any law enforcement agencies outside the state of California. Everything is within the state of California. You can slide up and down here on the right-hand side. If you were to grab that and slide that up and down in alphabetical order and see every department that we share information with. And on the right, you have the authorized California agencies, so you can actually see everybody that are sharing their information with us. It does not permit personal, political, discriminatory, any kind of immigration-related searches. It's just straight with what we're looking for on the investigation at hand. And we put that in when we enter that into this system. The organizational audit. I want to show you this screen. This is not one that you will see, but it's one that I want to be transparent with for people that had questions, is when I look at this, I can look to the right and say, okay, let me see how many people in the last 30 days have searched. So if you go over here to the right-hand side, you will see I have 2 searches on here because I'm in the system doing audits. These are who are able to search in our system. The question would probably be, why is Series Dispatch on your list? Series Dispatch is a contracted 911 and police dispatch services for the city of Newman. They dispatch our officers, so they have access to our CLETS terminals. That's how we dispatch, through a platform called RIMS. They dispatch our officers, they monitor our calls for service, and they're our lifeline when we're out on patrol. They have a big job of dedicating their time from not only their officers, but a whole channel just to the officers here in Newman. So they're on this platform with those cameras because they are our primary source that operates our CLETS terminal. On the left there, you can just see the differences with the graphs. In the middle, we talk about who's doing the usage: patrol, admin, supervisor, or records. We have no records personnel on there. We only have sworn officers and dispatch. So I just want to make that clear, because one of the questions is always, well, who can search this? Why? Can anybody in the police department have access to this information? And this is CLETS need to know, right to know information. You can't just access this without being trained, without being certified, and every single keystroke in this program can be monitored and audited. And just want to make sure that folks that are watching online that have questions or on the internet are aware of the parameters within. This is an overview of where our cameras are located within our city. And you can see a lot of them are on 33. So when you look at how many hits we're getting, if they're driving down 33 all the way, they're going to get 5 hits on that camera. Pretty good idea that these are strategically placed in hot zones where we're trying to catch bad actors that are coming into our city. And the cameras work very well for that. Because you can't see the locations, I'll read them to you. Camera 1 is on N Street and Wester Road southbound. Camera 2 is on Hills Ferry Road and Sherman Parkway westbound. Camera 3 is on N Street and Inyo Avenue northbound. Camera 4 Canal School Road and Inyo Avenue, which is northbound. Camera 5, In Street and Inyo Avenue, southbound. Camera 6 is 33 and Sherman Parkway, northbound. Camera 7 is on Merced Street and In Street, eastbound. And camera 8 is on Harding Road and Yolo Street, which is southbound. So I just wanted to put that up there. I know that was a question, sir, you had, is how many cameras do we have and where are they at? The last thing I need is for you guys to be out hunting down cameras, looking around everywhere, wasting your night. I have an open door policy. If there's anybody at home tonight that wants to discuss this further or has questions and couldn't make it here tonight, I have an open door. I'd love to meet with you in my office. I'm there all week. And I have coffee always available. I'd love to have a conversation. But I wanted to put that out to the community so they knew exactly where these cameras were and that we're transparent in letting the community know. The network view, this is important because I want you to see what these cameras see when they drive by. So our network view shows each of the camera. It's the square there. They're not continuously recording video. They don't follow a vehicle. They don't show everywhere a person travels. It provides an actual picture of what the camera photographs and documents, right? So the camera's information on the right, that's kind of the health of the camera. The camera picks up that photograph right there. With that data, we don't get the RO information. We don't get Social Security. We don't use facial recognition. We're not looking for the vehicle who's driving it. Basically, what that's doing is saying at this point in time, right now, this vehicle's in this location. I can't tell you who's driving the car. I can't tell you if there's family members in the car. I can't tell you what's going on inside the car, but I can tell you that at this time, this is where the vehicle is. So what does that do for us is it helps corroborate if we're looking for missing children, we're looking for a robbery suspect, we're looking for a vehicle associated with the crime, maybe a domestic violence in another area where the suspect, is headed out somewhere. It'll put that vehicle there, but what does that tell us? If we're in the area and we see the vehicle, we need to do our own investigation, develop our own probable cause, and collaborate the information at hand with what's actually on Flock. Flock doesn't do any of that for us. And when I'm watching all these social media presentations and people that are wanting to deflock and cut these cameras down, a lot of that information is really stirring the hornet's nest. We don't follow people. The cameras can't track you. It's taking a still shot of you when you drive by. And that's something that's important because a lot of people, I don't think, understand quite how that works. Flock puts out a policy and trust and lets you know what's detected. License plates and vehicles, like I said. What's not detected is facial recognition, people, gender, and race. We're looking for specific vehicles that are on the hot list, or we're looking for vehicles that we're using or looking for that corroborate into an investigation that we're looking at. Immigration enforcement, harassment, personal use, discriminatory searches, none of that is being used. And I just want to clarify that our audit every 30 days will verify that. And if there's a question to that, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation. Like I said, 15 people is pretty easy for me to look at audits, and I can look at that pretty much every day. Some of the myth versus facts, and there's a lot of them out there. One of the concerns is the Fourth Amendment. It's a violation of Fourth Amendment. Courts have recognized that license plate displayed on a vehicle traveling on a public roadway is visible to the public and may be observed by law enforcement. You're on a public road, folks. You're driving on a public place. You can be photographed. There's no violation of privacy on a public road. It's a public right-of-way. We're not taking that data and we're not searching down into ROs and other things. The photograph is taking place on a public roadway. Other concerns, it collects private and personal information. The system captures an image of a vehicle and a license plate along with a date, a time, and a location. It's limited to vehicle characteristics. It does not directly provide names, addresses, social security, or anything else related to that driver. There's concerns that it allows us to track people. Newman's cameras capture separate point-in-time images when vehicles pass. On the 8 fixed locations, they do not continuously follow a person or a vehicle. And there's so many more questions that I see or myths that are out there that we're violating or that Flock is, doing other things that I know in this community they're not doing. The billing and account overview, one of the questions was, how much are we paying for Flock? And I want to be very transparent with this slide. This is the entirety of what we paid. It looks like in 2023, when we set up Flock, it was $26,900, and it's about $22,500 every year. On 8/15/26, that was the due date where we just renewed our Flock contract, and we are in contract with them through 27. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the investigations that we've used Flock cameras for here in town. And there's a few that I put up here in 23. A stolen dual-axe dump trailer was located, another stolen Dodge pickup, another hit of a BMW vehicle that was located shortly within the Gustine limits. The driver was arrested and stolen vehicle was recovered. In April 25, we had an ALPR hit on a felony vehicle, the carjacking. The vehicle was located, stopped, and determined to have false plates, making the occupants additional victims. Felony hit was for the front plate, and the rear was being for the appropriate on a different vehicle. And you can read the others there. We have a lot of shooting investigations we've done. Currently, we're using it to investigate an ongoing felony firearms case. I know when I was working for the Merced County Sheriff's Department, part of one of our investigations was a homicide that happened out on Hunt Road, and one of the cameras here allowed us to identify the responsible's vehicle and helped us with that case as well. Before that, we had those active in Merced County. Speaking with Lieutenant Sam Becerra with Merced County Sheriff's Department, our cameras are instrumental in several investigations. And they're used from local agencies, just like we're able to use their technology and innovation to really protect the community and give a good overall sense of security for the community here that we serve. Our goal is simple, right? We want to use the tools to keep Newman safe while maintaining the trust of the community that we serve. And we're committed to doing that. I'm open as your police chief to have a conversation with anybody willing to talk. Feel free to come meet with me. If you want to write me an email and you feel more comfortable doing it over the email, that's okay as well. Any form of communication I'm open for. I just want to be as transparent as I can, not only to the board, not only to the community, but also my officers, and make sure that we continue to use technology and innovation to really work towards protecting the city. And I think Newman does a great job when it comes to technology, and the police department that we have here. We have some good officers. Most of them are here, they live here, they raise their kids here, they go to church here, and they go shopping just like you guys in the same community. And that goes a long way when it comes to how important it is to them. So thank you guys tonight for the time. I know it's been a long night with a lot of presentations, but I hope for the folks at home and the folks here, I've been able to answer some of those questions. And sir, again, thank you last week for coming and bringing that to my attention. And I hope that this information will help clear up some of the misunderstandings that you spoke about. Thank you. Absolutely.
Is the national lookup feature turned off in Newman?
The national lookup feature?
Right. Say, for example, a police force or a HOA in South Dakota is tracking a particular license plate. That license plate is in the Flock cloud, which is kind of a double-edged sword. The national lookup feature allows them to dive into Newman data if that national lookup feature is on.
So on our, the page back here that I talked about was, these are the only people that can access our account. So we have nobody from out of state accessing, as far as I know, our cloud. I verified that with the representative from Flock, and I asked them, can anybody else besides this list view our data? And the answer to me as of yesterday was no. These 305 are the authorized.
Hey, if we're going to ask questions, I'm going to have you guys go up to the stand because it's hard for people to hear at home without the mic. So if anybody else that has questions, please go up to the mic, ask your question. Thank you.
I just have a question about the cloud. You said it's, you
Hey.
don't store it, it's stored in the cloud.
Oh.
So does Flock have?
Ma'am, we're live streaming. If we're just asking that you speak into the
Yeah,
microphone so that way
people at home that
know.
we're live streaming this, they can't hear you.
Do you need my name?
Yes, ma'am.
Rebecca Teixeira?
Thank-
You said you don't store it, it's stored in the cloud. So is the cloud secure?
Cloud is secure. Flock gave me a list of a bunch of different programs that they use. I'm not familiar with all of different security, but there's a ton of them that it's the same one that FBI uses and other large firms.
So they all have access to the cloud where the information is stored?
I think Flock has a separate where they store. I'm not sure on how they manage their cloud.
And what about like upgrading? Do you plan on doing any upgrading? I know that Flock has, they upgrade to different types of styles, like they have one that records audio too.
Not that I'm aware of.
So do you plan on upgrading, or you haven't thought about that?
I do not plan on upgrading.
Okay.
It's up to our council if that's something that comes across, but I have no plans at this time.
Okay. I probably have more questions, but I'll email you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Mayor?
one of your screens that I read said that there's never been a data breach under Flock up to this point.
So when I spoke with Flock representative yesterday, I didn't ask that specific question, but I
it was
know
on
for
one of the
us here in the city, we've had no issues.
Mayor, I think it's important to also just to stress that we have license plate readers. We don't have cameras, Flock cameras throughout. Ours are specific, looking at, taking a snapshot, a photo of a license plate. That's why there's no sound or anything else that goes along with it.
Correct. Any other questions from the public? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Chief. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
I did have a question.
Go ahead.
Are there, in the previous slide that you had, the list of cities, you said one of them is the one that we are, there we go, that we share data with, and the other one is that who we receive. In this is on the website, is that correct?
Yeah, if you go to our website, it's on there.
It's because I'm just looking to see if there's any other towns similar to ours that use this same, that's the size of ours, that use the same technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so so I could go ahead and look at that.
Yeah, on the far left is the ones that we share with, and then the ones on the far right are who share with us. So you have Angels Camp, Atwater. There's a lot of towns that are similar in size to us here in Newman.
Okay. And one last question. When does, we have a contract with Flock right now, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when is, oh, you probably put it up there. When is our contract up?
It looks like we renewed or was renewed on the
Oh, wait,
15th of
last week.
26, so I
I'm
believe
sorry.
it's 1 year.
Oh, I thought that was when that was billed. Okay. Okay, thank you.
I know this meeting's running long. On the Flock data and who you share with now, you said you have 18 that are waiting for you to accept to share with them right now. When you think of the criteria that you look to share with them, two things I'm wondering about is, do you look at their policy to see what they're doing as far as what they have as requirements when they go and search the database? Do they have to have an active case and a legitimate reason as well? So when they're accessing our data, we're holding them to the same standard. And then the second part of that is, are you looking at who they're sharing the data with as well? Is there a way to even enable it to share with the federal agencies out there, right? And are they sharing the data with them?
So on the Flock settings on there, they're all set to no out of state, no federal. But that's why I have not approved. I just got here a few weeks ago. That list was in place prior to me getting here. I went through that list to make sure it was state agencies. There's no way for me to add a non-California agency unless I manually go in there and override the system. But that's why I have not approved them. I just want to look at that list a little bit. And then I know with our policy, we have those two search, incident number or case number. I feel comfortable with that because it really limits the scope of the search. But as a chief, I monitor our agency, our city, and how we utilize that technology. And I think if I called everybody on this list, probably be pretty, I could do that if that's the direction of the council and only share with those parameter cities. I have no problem doing that. But I have not approved any just because I want to kind of look into it a little further.
Thank you. I trust your judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd just like to speak on this a little bit. Being in law enforcement myself in a larger city, these cameras are vital. They've been used to solve so many crimes of shootings, murders, catching the rapists, catching kidnappers, a variety of things. And us being able to do that in a quick, timely manner has in my opinion, saved lives and put ease to the victims of those crimes. So to me, being an officer, it's a vital tool that we use. And I, as Chief mentioned, for officers that use this improperly, it's a crime. It's illegal. Any of our databases that we use improperly, it's a crime for us. So with that, we'll move on to item number B, regular business item B. Authorize the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Newman Crows Landing Unified School District for school resource officer services. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Last time we had this on consent item and we had to pull it off because we had some conflict with the Newman Police Officers Association. That has since been resolved. And so we're ready to move forward. I did not put it back on consent because I think the record needs to be corrected. There's a lot of misinformation that's being spewed out there. And I just want to make sure that the public understands the history and what we're doing. So the city of Newman and the Newman Crows Landing School District have had a SRO relationship for about 2 years. Originally, we were charging 90% of our the salary of the officer, and that's what the school district would reimburse us for. During the economic crisis of around 08, 09, we lowered that down to 75 to help the district out. In July of this year, we got a letter from the district canceling our SRO contract. And then we thanked them on social media. And then they came back to us after the public found out about it. And they came back to us and said that they wanted, we wanted to renegotiate. They never mentioned renegotiation. It wasn't part of their letter. But we're willing to, we appreciate the relationship. So we were willing to go ahead and look at that. But it should be known that one of the things that they were complaining about was the high cost. And we were charging 75% of what the officer's rate was. They handpicked Officer Corporal Lopez to be their SRO. Corporal, obviously he's not an officer, he's a corporal. So he's higher paid, he's been here longer tenured, and he had a lot of incentives. So his salary was much higher. But that's who they hand selected with the full understanding that he was a higher paid officer within the department. And we were only charging 75% of his time. Well, the contract requires that the SRO work 9.5 hours a day over there. So when you do the simple math, 180 work days times 9.5 hours, simple math will tell you it's at 1,700 hours or 82% of the 2080 work week. But if you dive a little bit deeper and say, okay, wait a minute here, an hour and a half of that's overtime. So now you're up to about 1,845 hours of a 2080 work. That's 88.7% of his time was going to the school district, and we were only charging them 75%. So when they were saying that they wanted a fair and equitable contract, it wasn't fair and equitable, but it wasn't fair and equitable to our side, not to their particular side. If you actually took out and made it a 2,000-hour work week and took out some of the vacation time, everybody's entitled to vacation, and then get that down to 2,000 hours, we were only seeing that officer a week or 2 weeks out of the year. 92% of his time was going to the school district. And I'm not even including the overtime that went into going to football games, a couple basketball games, the prom, and some of the other things. So it should be noted that they had a very fair contract. They hand select that particular person, and they were paying for it. That's what they agreed to. They made a conscious decision to do that. That wasn't something the city pulled over on them. So now we're looking at doing a new contract to help them with the better cost. We found Officer Corporal Lopez will come back into our staff. We'll insert a different officer in there. The 9.5-hour day will go to an 8.5-hour day. So we will have an officer on campus from 7:30 to 4. Think about it, school's 8 to 3, right? So get there a little bit early, stay an extra hour, covers all the students. That's an appropriate time. So that will reduce the number of overtime hours that goes into that as well. So even then, when you take out the 8.5-hour day plus football games and all that, they're still going to utilize that employee 78% of the time. Over 80% when you start thinking about vacation time that has to get worked in and some of those other things. So this is a more fair and equitable contract for the city, but I think it's important for the city, for the residents to understand this wasn't something that the city did. They hand selected that last person, and they chose to make those to make those costs. So under the new contract, it'll be an 8.5-hour day. We still have some work to do in the MOU. The SRO officer will do an hour extra day at this point in time at the discretion of the police chief. So he'll do 8.5 hours on campus, 1 hour off campus for now. The school district will compensate us $162,000 a year, but that will include 5 football games, 2 basketball games, the prom, and graduation. So those are some of the main events over there. So we made those changes to the SRO contract with the school district, and with that, I can answer any questions you have. It's our recommendation that you do approve a 1-year agreement with the Newman Crows Landing School District for the SRO position.
Any questions? No questions. Open up to the public if anybody has any questions on that. Nope. All right, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, just if approved, how soon will we have SRO back on campus?
Oh, they're ready.
Yeah, I saw them at YOLO yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. So I'll bring it back to council for action.
Move we approve item 10B, authorize the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Newman Crows Landing Unified School District for school resource officer services.
Second. We have first and second. Going to vote electronically. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item number 11, items from the District 5 Stanislaus County Supervisor. Welcome, Chance Condit, Supervisor. Thank you for staying here so late, Supervisor.
Absolutely.
Usually we don't go this long, but
No, it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Mayor and Council, and I do want to take a moment to acknowledge those in attendance tonight. Thank you for being here. Civic engagement's very important. So as a fellow Newman resident, I want to thank you for being here and being a part of the discussion. So I just have a couple short reports tonight, one of which is we are going to be having a community cleanup here in Newman on September 12th. It's going to be over at Orostemba High School, and it is a cleanup day sponsored by the county. And we're going to be operating from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So please come out if you have any trash or anything you like to get rid of. Sofas are usually popular. What we don't take is no liquids, no chemicals, no batteries, no tires, but everything else is accepted. So September 12th, Orostemba High School, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a sponsored cleanup day by Stanislaus County. And then besides that, just an update on the Crows Landing Naval Air Base. Last year, the Board of Supervisors allocated $14 million from our ARPA funds to invest in critical infrastructure for the air base, so everything underground, essentially. That construction is still ongoing. I got a report today from our Public Works Director, Mr. Newman. He said that construction should be completed by the spring of '27, so that is great news. We are still having conversations, ongoing conversations about hopefully locating a emergency room at the air base, a level 3 trauma center. That is our goal as West Siders, to have something closer for much needed emergency services. And today I also spoke with Dr. Brian Sanders of MJC, and MJC is still committed and trying to explore an option of having an MJC campus at the air base as well. And I will be continuing pushing our staff to explore carving out 100 acres that would be dedicated to MJC. So those are kind of my updates for this evening. Happy to answer any questions. I'll do my best to answer.
I got one. Have you heard any updates on getting Stir Road paving added to the upcoming year?
I am still after Sturd Road. That's right around the corner from me, and I take it every day going to Modesto. And the worst part is definitely the tracks, right? And that's
I'm talking about going towards the freeway.
Oh, you're talking about going west. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I go east. So I will reach out about going west as well, past the cemetery.
Yes.
Okay, I'll reach out. I drove out that way the other day as well. But west and east, we need to do better on Stir Road. I have reached out to the Railroad Authority about getting those tracks that I was mentioning paved over as well. We have to work through them, unfortunately, on that. But I will follow up about the cemetery side of it on Stir Road.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
I have a question. On the
Yes.
cleanup, it's big bulky items. Usually when we have the cleanup here, they'll have the hazardous waste or the shredded one. Nothing like that, though. Is that correct?
No, if you have loose trash, like shreds, I think is what you're mentioning,
Yes.
just have it bagged, please. But this is more for bulky items, sofas. There's always a toilet. Someone always brings a toilet.
So no
to
like
these.
used batteries or things like
No.
that? That's
No, we've done 28 community cleanups throughout my communities, and there's always at least one toilet at every cleanup. But bulky items primarily sofas, couches, old workout equipment, things like that will be accepted. And there's no limit on bins. So last time we did this in Newman, I think we filled 9 bins total. So we work with Burlati, and they bring the bins on a loop from 7 to 1 p.m. And again, the whole point is to combat illegal dumping so that this debris and these items don't end up in orchards. So I hope that answered your question, council member.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yes, sir.
I have a question in regards to the air base.
Yes.
Is there remnants of the jet fuel there at the air base? Has there been an environmental?
An EIR. There was an EIR that was conducted. That was prior to my time on the Board of Supervisors. Now, the current zoning of the airbase is industrial, so that EIR was done with the outlook of an industrial usage. Now, I'm looking to explore other options such as a possible hospital and other ventures at that site, and there will have to be a new EIR conducted. But as far as I know, there were no chemical remnants. Now, that is an old air base, and you will have to re-explore that with a new EIR with a different zoning and a different usage.
And the only reason I'm asking is because the air base was in use for many, many decades.
Yes.
And what happened with all the discharged fuel from those planes taken in and off? So I'm just really curious.
Just for the public, he's asking about the remnants and the old discharged fuel at the air base. No, you're absolutely right. We will have to give that another look once we conduct a new EIR if we are going to explore other uses such as a potential emergency room and a Modesto Junior College campus. But an EIR was conducted. It just was conducted under the lens of it being used for industrial. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Supervisor.
Okay, thank you guys so
Really
much. You all have a
appreciate
good evening.
Items from City Manager and staff. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to extend my congratulations to Lieutenant Short in his career and his retirement. Wish him well. Also want to thank Mr. David Heff for showing up tonight in Mosquito Abatement District. And as you know, we live right here in the middle of the wetlands, so we hit those mosquito hitters pretty hard, and we're getting ready to get into that season. So we've had a couple CPRA requests, California Public Records Act requests recently. One is data centers, all the information that we've had with data centers. So we providing that information off to Modesto B on that one. And then recently we got a Title II, comprehensive Title II compliance. It's kind of ADA, CPRA request. We only went through our email so far. We're looking for the other things. Right now, we're at about 300 gigabytes of information. So if anybody knows how much 300 gigabytes is, that's a lot. Probably at this point, we're about 250,000 emails they're going to have to go through and have. First, we have to have legal look at them to make sure nothing is non-reportable, and then go through that. So it's going to be a big cost to the city to go through that process. So we have those two. We have the Fall Festival coming up. We won't have another meeting before that. So just members of the council, make sure you touch bases with Allie in terms of writing in the parade, and get that all coordinated. We are nearing the end of brick sales. So if you're interested in purchasing an engraved brick, the engraved brick will be installed catty corner fronts on the grass area as we're doing a veteran circle to honor all of the veterans that have served our country. And you can do an engraved brick as part of that. You can do one for your family, you can do one for your business, you can do one for a service member and all that. You can access that through our website if you're interested in purchasing an engraved brick and have that permanently installed as part of the Veteran Circle. And then just lastly for the council, if you could please stop by and see me, the headhunter that's going to be doing the recruitment would like to talk to you guys to get your feedback on some of the desired qualities that you're looking for in the next city manager. So they want to set up interviews with you, and we're looking at September 24th, 25th, or 26th. So if you can stop by and let me know what days work for you, then I can get them your contact. They're going to contact you directly to set up those phone calls. So they said it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. So for that, but that process is moving forward right now. So with that, Mayor, I can answer any questions you may have.
When's the last day of brick sales going to be?
So the first order is going to be this week, and then last orders are going to be completed at Fall Festival. So you only have about a week and a half if you're interested in getting a brick and placing it out in the Veteran Circle. I have a couple copies of the design here, so if you guys have not seen the design, you want to stop by after the meeting, I'll show it to you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Just a reminder, we will be at the Fall Festival. A lot of the departments here participate in that Fall Festival. The Fall Festival will take place the 4th, 5th, and 6th of September. So about a week and a half from now, if you'd like to visit us, I have the Kids Zone out there. Bring your children along. It's free activities all of Saturday and all of Sunday. Apart from that, we have basketball for recreation for adult basketball resuming this Friday and Sunday from 6 to 9 p.m. at Yolo Middle School. And just a heads up, we also have a whole bunch of soccer players out there. It's soccer season now, so if you see them at parks, they will be located at Sherman and Barrington Park. Please be cautious, slow down, and just be aware that there's a lot of children out in our community right now. With that, I can answer any questions that y'all may have.
Thank you, Allie.
Thank you.
Chief?
No, we're excited. We ordered some stickers. Some of our officers helped create some stickers, and we're looking to pass those out to the kids at Fall Festival. So my first Fall Festival, I'm looking forward to walking around, meeting community members, and seeing what it's all about. Other than that, check out our webpage. We're able to revamp that. Thank you, Mike Meyer, for assistance with that. And other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, got nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Thomas?
You know, I have to say something. Good evening. No, I wanted to thank Rob from the Department of Environmental Resources to come out. I know he's working on that task force. He also, we work closely with him on a lot of the environmental resource programs that we participate in. Second off, I want to thank David from the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District. As he mentioned, we have had a couple meetings. And for those who have been by the news, we are tackling a lot of the weeds. One could consider weeds outside the ponds. Inside the ponds, as David mentioned, they are part of the treatment process, and we are working on that close balance to, as David said, that balance between the water quality and the public health, and working with the mosquito abatement district on ensuring that we don't have that ticking time bomb that he mentioned. Additionally, Public Works has been preparing for the Fall Festival. You may see them working in both the plaza and in Pioneer Park. Please come by the City of Newman Public Works booth during the Fall Festival. We have lots of outreach information, candy. I like to quiz the kids on various ways for water conservation and what to do in emergencies, not to step on anybody's feet. And then we'll also have information, that final chance, as Michael mentioned, for the brick. We'll have a poster we can point at where it's going to be. We'll have an example brick, and you can always come by the Public Works office here at City Hall if you want to look at that closer, if any community members want to purchase one of those bricks. And I can, additionally, early September, we're looking at September 14th is our Measure L Street project starting. And we're looking forward to that and having that project completed this fall. And tomorrow we will be opening bids for our Veteran Circle project and bringing those to council for consideration on September 8th. And I can answer any questions. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We've had a busy August for mutual aid requests. So our local firefighters have been throughout the state assisting with large wildfires. So they're all back home now trying to get rest and relaxed and get ready for the next one, I guess, right? So that's where I was at last week, if you guys are wondering. I was out at a fire. We'll also be at Newman Fall Festival doing fire truck rides, and we'll have our obstacle course. So come on out and see us, some stickers and candy, and I can answer any questions anyone has. Thank you.
Sorry. I just want to say I'm really looking forward to the Fall Festival Parade. This is the one time a year that the 4 council members and the mayor get together. We ride together, and we show our community that we're united. And I really, really appreciate that, because not all boards, committees, councils are united the way we are. So and a lot of that has to do with, look who's shown up tonight. Look who's speaking to us. I think you can all see that we really have a united front. We're all together as one, and just appreciation for all of you. Thank you.
I'm calling shotgun on the little cart for the parade. That's all I have.
I want to thank everybody again for coming out. Long evening, but your voices do matter to all of us. So thank you again for voicing your concerns.
Again, thank you for everybody for coming. Great discussions tonight. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah. Congratulations to Lieutenant for his retirement. That's exciting for him. Thank you guys for everybody coming today and participating. We greatly appreciate people showing up and being part of the community and being involved with stuff that's going on. That's a huge deal. And everybody have a safe and enjoyable time at Fall Festival. Be responsible, be smart, and have a good time. So with that, I'll ask for adjournment.
If we adjourn